The main similarity between Scam 1992 and 2003 is that he told me don't try to make a sequel. Hi, I'm Jishnu Chatterjee, the founder of Stray Motion, and I'm here at IGN India to break down the opening sequence of Scam 2003. The main similarity between Scam 1992 and 2003 is that the soundtrack is still the same. It's the same theme track, which became very iconic post-release. That was a bit, nerve-wracking because it's teeing yourself up for disappointment in many ways. I even had a discussion with the showrunner Hansal sir, and he told me that he told me don't try to make a sequel because it never works. You're never going to live up to what you made in the first go. So just look at it as a fresh project and just imagine you're getting this soundtrack for the first time and just try to reinvent it and say something that makes sense for this story, because Abdul Karim Telgi as a character is very different from Harshad Mehta. So the only similarity I would say is the music and the overall theme of the falling man. The first brief I received for Scam 2003 was maybe 2 or 3 months before the show was set for release. So I didn't have a lot of time to figure out what to make. But again, just like Scam 1992, the subject matter is so dense and so complicated. It basically started with Hansal sir giving me a lowdown of what a stamp paper is, how it works, why it's important, and how one can even counterfeit one. So after that heavy information session, then I did my own research, tried to understand, okay, who is this guy, who is Abdul Karim Telgi, why is he important, and slowly I also got to watch like the first 5 episodes. So that also helped, because I feel like these shows are so amazing. Like both the Scam seasons are so amazing at distilling such dense, complicated information into simple parcels that almost anyone can understand. For the referencing part and storyboarding, the creating the animatics, the whole pre-production stage, basically, that I would say was the longest period for this project. Like probably 60 or 70% of the time we spent on this project was just trying to figure out what to say, and that was the core problem and which we were trying to solve. And we were looking at a lot of references. We knew certain parts of what we wanted to say. Like for instance, the sheer scale of Telgi's criminal empire was astounding. Like that is something that we wanted to really show, like to scale, where it's a little different from what Harshad Mehta was doing. Again, I'm going to compare stuff to Scam 1992 because the template kind of is the same. Like we're still in a similar sort of surreal universe, but of course the story we're telling is a different one, and the character we're following is a different one. So in this case, we realized that Abdul Karim Telgi was not a showy person. He was not a public figure, unlike Harshad Mehta. He was a shadow king. He was a silent king, a puppeteer, and he's like, you don't see him, but he's controlling the whole racket. He's controlling his whole empire, and it is truly an empire. It's spanning multiple states. The amount of money, it's not something people can imagine. When somebody says 30,000 crores, you don't know what kind of a image to conjure up in your head. So Abdul Karim Telgi, at least the character that's portrayed in the show, this guy is not. He's not a stylish man, so he cannot look like a hero. He's a little pot-bellied. he doesn't even tuck in his shirt, so we can't make him look classy and all that. I mean, we were gonna make him tuck in his shirt, put a pen in his pocket or something, just make him look a little dapper because he's the only one we're seeing. And we did that with Harshad Mehta last time around. But yeah, Hansal sir was very, very particular. This guy needs to look like an ordinary man, like a very he's, even in the show you see that he's disarmingly simple, and we kind of wanted to portray that he's this silent guy. He's just making sure he's a floor manager or something, and he's acting like that even though he owns the entire thing. Running a shadow empire, the worst thing that can happen to you is you stepping into the light. So that's what happens to Telgi, where the spotlight is turned on him, and that shows all of his assets, the range of his wealth, to his to his adversaries and allies alike. And the people he considered his allies, all of these government officials, all of these politicians on his payroll, they suddenly start asking for more, and everybody starts asking for more. And the people he relied on to keep his business running become the ones responsible for shutting all of that stuff down. We really wanted to show that somehow, that it's not a quick one and done sort of a downfall. It's something that was stretched out. So he's running, his empire is crumbling, and he has nowhere to go. He has no one to turn to, and no one to help him. So all of those big hands in the title sequence, they are representative of all the hands that he would feed, who are now kind of attacking him, because he's no longer serving his purpose for them, right? He's not profitable. So the spotlights were a visual metaphor in a way that when a criminal is on the run, let's say there's a highway pursuit or something happening, you see those police helicopters come in, and they have this like really strong like spotlight that they just shine on the perpetrator who's trying to run away, right? And when that spotlight is on you and everything around you is dark, your first instinct is to just get out of that spotlight. All you're trying to do is run away from it, but of course that spotlight is going to follow you around. So we kind of wanted to do the same thing with Telgi's assets, Telgi's criminal empire, his machinery, so to speak, and all of that comes out in the open, because that's what also happens in the show, as one by one his different printing presses, different facilities get busted, and the law sort of starts. So the bar dancer bit was definitely a discovery for us, because we were trying to find simpler ways of showing that kind of fatal attraction, that lust factor, but there really wasn't any better metaphor for that female form, because that's something that you see in the show countless times, and we figured, yeah, why not? I mean, it was definitely an outlier in terms of the visuals that we used for this whole sequence. But after putting everything together, it didn't feel that out of place. Like when Telgi's story, that's where he goes to take off the steam, just relax, just think about the day's events or whatever. And that's where he goes when he's sad, that's where he goes when he's happy, that's where he also goes when he's trying to think about his next move, so to speak. So and he goes there with different people. That's also something I noticed throughout the 5 episodes that I got to watch, that he's like his accomplices, his associates keep changing. As he climbs up the social ladder, but he's always bringing them back to the same place, and he's constant, right? So that's something that's just a running theme, and I feel like everything else is like he doesn't have any other vice but just that one, and even that one is enough to make you slip. So in terms of just the visual conceptualization, there wasn't much to it. We just tried to imitate the kind of clothes that we watched in the series itself, and just try to get something that where it's just frozen in time, because that's how he's imagining it. It's not like there's a 100-foot woman dancing there or anything. It's a vision. It's almost, for us it was like a mirage, something to draw him away from his printing press, and that's where the trouble begins, because he's safe when he's up there and he's away from all of this. But it's just like a desert oasis that you see in a mirage that like pulls you closer. This fatal attraction to this bar dancer pulls Telgi away from his safe space in his criminal empire, and that's what causes him to be discovered. In Scam 2003, the hands represent Telgi's allies. All the government officials, all the politicians, everyone, all the hands that he fed, all the people that he bribed, and how they essentially helped him construct his criminal empire because they were benefiting from it. But as soon as they were not, as soon as his empire was on the downfall, all those hands turned on him. The same hands that helped Telgi construct his empire started breaking it down, ripping it to pieces. Techniques we used for this one are kind of similar to what we used for Scam 92, but it's a gradual evolution. It's definitely like a much more involved process than it was last time. And the grade of animation, I would say, is arguably better than last time, because for once I have more people working with me on this one. So it's definitely like having more hands to help you on the project. This time I wanted to get a little closer to, say, an acrylic painting or something like that, like where there's charcoal involved. I just love the tactility of those kind of mediums, where I hate that that plastic CG look where everything's smooth, everything's like shiny. I love it when there's just a bit of grunge, and so I got to fine tune all of that, and the edit was again me, and it's the same storyboard artist from before, so it's more or less the same team plus a few more. Distilling an entire show, an entire larger narrative of a series into a minute is not an easy task, but it's also not, I don't think it's possible. You can't tell the entire story. So I think it's really about a process of exclusion. Like what do you not have to say and still be able to say the same thing, like impart the same feeling, right? So because the runtime is insane, right? Like if you consider an episode to be an hour and that there's 10 episodes, you can't tell a 10-hour long story in a minute. There's just no way. So that's why we stopped trying to do that. Like instead of trying to tell that entire story, what does that 10-hour runtime story make you feel, and how do we impart the same feeling in a minute, right? That's a much more achievable task, we feel. Like after watching that the entire story of Harshad Mehta, his rise and his fall, what kind of feeling does that leave you with, right? And maybe that is something that's a much more achievable target. That's something, because then you can craft your own story that matches up to the larger story being told. That's kind of it doesn't have to be an exact one-to-one replica of that, because that's just not possible. Like there are so many things that we just left out in our retelling of Telgi's tale, right? Where we don't even have his comeuppance. When we start the title sequence, he's already there at the top. He has already established his criminal empire, because like we don't need to show his comeuppance, because we've seen that either in other shows, in other formats, or it's just not as interesting as that turning point, when he already has amassed everything. So if you ask me, telling a larger story in a more concise format just basically means finding what to keep out, what to exclude, right? And it's just that process of exclusion, and and just not trying to say the same story but impart the same feeling. Thank you for watching. It was fun talking about the Scam 2003 title sequence here at IGN India. Like, share, and subscribe if you liked any of this stuff, and comment if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them.